Alright, so let's break this down to the nitty gritty. Nathan Kite, Plastik Musik. We're talking about AP2, which released a record called Suspension of Disbelief, which is a very good analogy to either being fanatical about something and obsessed with it, whether it's a religion or if it's a drug or if it's video games, sex, child porn, whatever have you, sick shit that's explored. AP2 stands for Argyle Park 2, like Argyle Park Part 2, because this was the sequel of Argyle Park's Misguided album that came out in 1995. This record by AP2 came out in 2000. It was put out by Tooth and Nail Records. They were signed mainly. The record did terrible. The label barely promoted it. It was a shame. It's an amazing record. It features Level from Level fame and Buka from Argyle Park fame. It was originally supposed to have Clay Scott on it from Circle of Dust, Celldweller, etc. Well, Celldweller didn't even really exist at that point. Actually, they did that one demo. But Clay was moving on to new things. He was going out to Michigan, concentrating on Celldweller, and he dropped out. Now, I really think it was a plan to get them signed by saying that Clay was part of the band because he was the main selling point. Level and Buka weren't as well-known musicians, and Clay had already worked with Tooth and Nail with Still Suffering by Clank, and the Downside remixes to fulfill Clank's contract. But they had a song called My Sympathies, which featured I think it was Mark Salomon from the Crucified or something, or maybe it was I think it was or Mark Salomon from the Crucified, or maybe it was Stave Sager. I can't remember. I get him and Jeff Bello confused. But they put it out on a promo, a Tooth and Nail promo, saying like this is gonna be one of our new bands. And it had like it was a compilation of all these different bands on their label promoting them. And then after they signed them and the contract was done, I think Buka was the main signer on the contract. Because it was really like his band, like Argyle Park was his band, and Level and Clay were helping out. Clay got really, really involved with Chris Angel and Celldweller and dropped out of the band. The band said that they couldn't work with him anymore. And I don't know if that was intentional just to get them signed because Clay was a hard selling point, but Tooth and Nail got really pissed off. And that's why they didn't push the album really hard because they thought it was going to be subpar material. And it was different. And if you listen to songs like Resurrection of the Ravens and My Sympathies, you can hear that it sounds different than the rest of the record, which has a lot more eccentric industrial electronic things with beats and stuff. And I think they were really banking on that sound to push the record. And then when it didn't really happen, they got all butthurt and didn't give the band. I guess the contract was written out. It depended on how the first album did to see if they get renewal deal for a second album, but they didn't, and there was never anything else ever said after that. And it's also strange because the record it starts out with a song called "It's Over," and it ends with it's saying it's this the end, it's over, and it's called "Breath of Sorrow." So maybe it was the final statement that was supposed to be by Buka as an artist, like getting back at the record labels and the industry after how they treated Argyle Park's Misguided, which was an amazing record, but because it featured themes that were very far out of the standard target audience of Christian record labels like REX that put it out, or like it was really boycotted by the scene, and I'm sure that the artist was, instead of receiving validation for their work and being accepted when they put their heart and soul into it, being rejected even more, especially by the young community that made them, but and that they were returning their thoughts and hearts and feelings about information that for that community, like I guess like trusting people and promises and Christianity, that was a real stabbing point to end it for good. But now that Clay owns the rights to Argyle Park, and he also, has released level material on Fixed, I really hope that Buka, because he sent Clay that text, I really hope that Buka will, and Argyle Park will make some kind of reunion after Circle of Dust has finished their reunion. But that's just my 2 cents on Argyle Park, AP2, and the rights being, taken back. And I think that would be really awesome, even though it sounds like a pipe dream. But anyway, that's my bullshit on AP2. Uh, it's a great record. Suspension of Disbelief. It songs like the end that opens it has the sample from Lorne from Drown, I Am the Damage. It's really powerful. Heroin Hate, which is just like a head screw, kind of fucks you up, really messes with your head. Some great sick guitar. We talked about My Sympathies, Thousand Terrible Things, total samples, totals like industrial, like kind of number 4, just where Feudal was, messes it up, and then it comes in with Silhouette of Rage, which is got Clank on it, very twisted Clank vocals, really over the top kind of Rage. Then it's got Goodbye, which is a level song, which is really, a sad, the whole thing's a really lonely, sad thing. But, it's a very powerful song as well. Then, like, the Red Shirt Conspiracy, which is, like, some punk stuff. And it's, this is the kind of stuff that, like, it was far out, but it was really, on top of stuff, if you give it a chance. And it's a shame it was never promoted like it was, because, this was outside the box kind of stuff, not, easy listening. Like, Tooth and Nail was pushing at that time when they were having, like, MXPX, like, on MTV and stuff. But, these are just my 2 cents, but besides my 2 cents, it's also reality and facts. I mean, then it goes to a song that's, called The Pact, and it's got, like, this, like, chanting that just goes on with these tribal beats, and it's so intense. But, whatever, it was, didn't sound anything like, pop punk at the time, so, it was really, pushed to the side, and, the band got decked, but maybe this time if they did something on Fixed, they'd actually have the proper exposure backing up and fan base looking at them to give them the response that they really deserve, because the critics have spoken, and everyone knows years after years these albums stand the test of time, unlike bands like MXPX who have faded to the wayside, or I'm not gonna try to talk any bands, but really one of my favorite songs on the record is Resurrection of the Ravens, which is like Level and Clay working together, and it's got some crazy synths and dancey stuff, and it's just some angelic really voices, like kind of like Fear from Angel Dust, or Darkest Day from Angel Dust. Really, Gus, it really, Clay was exploring his voice at the sound at that time in a very mournful way, and it was really beautiful, like Mesmerized by Circle of Dust, or Goodbye by Circle of Dust, which is way better the Circle of Dust version than the Sound Waller version. Sorry, it's just the truth. A New Wound comes up to get close to closing the album. And it's, a new wall pushed down, a new exposure, a new chance at the market, and exploring and giving back, this homage, what they took in. And, he sings about the gutless man, soulless and free. And, like,
It's really, it's uneasy listening, and that's another reason that it probably never really took off with the mainstream market because people don't like things that really make them force it. You don't go to a bar full of drunks trying to escape reality and remind them that, like, hey, you guys are drinking, you're a bunch of, fucking idiots trying to just escape your problems instead of just figuring out a way to deal with them because then they get even more pissed off at you and they're like, yo, bartender, manager, why the fuck do you have this guy performing right now? But, you really need people like that to minister and carry the word and witness, and that's